But he actually, using the word several is brilliant.
Yeah.
Right? Several is the most non-specific way to describe something
Great
like
way
this.
to put it.
But I'm going to put an exact number on it, Diana. Their season starts in 31 days.
Yeah.
Are we concerned that Joe Burrow will not be ready?
Yes, absolutely. There's concern in the organization that he'll be not 100%, that he won't be 100% healthy, ready to go. They're going to try to do it. They're doing everything he can. He's getting the rehab. He's getting the treatment. But they want to be very patient with this in order to protect him and make sure he doesn't re-injure this calf injury.
Well, because that's the big concern here, D. Wood. I'm going to use the analogy, you're kind of robbing from Peter to pay Paul one way or the other. You got to get him back out on the field so you're not losing games. But if you run the risk of a more severe injury long term, then that clearly is worse than missing him at the beginning part of the season. How do you handle this?
I think you got to make sure that he's 100% healthy. I've had this injury before. It is an injury where if you come back earlier than what you should have, this thing will linger and it could get worse, than what it already is. So listen, I understand they opened up with two divisional opponents, and that's in a stacked AFC, but it's more important that you make sure that Joe Burrow's 100%, coming back, so he's able to fight the good fight the rest of the season.
I'm going to tell you one person I do trust, their head trainer, Matt Summers. He was a guy that I worked with when I was at the University of Louisville, and I thought he should have been a head trainer way back then in 2003 to 2007. If it's one person I do trust, I trust Matt Summers that he's going to do the right thing and make sure Joe Burrow is correct before he gets on that football field.
There is also the issue of Burrow's contract, which we are expecting, shall I say, any day now? I mean,
this is something that's been in the works. Everyone's been optimistic about it. Obviously, this became a little strange, right? Because now he gets injured. But from what I can gather information after talking to several people across the league, this isn't going to be a reason for a holdup of getting a contract done and making him the highest paid player in the NFL.
Yeah, he will be the highest. Every expectation is that he'll be the highest paid player in history when he gets the deal, and as well he should. And clearly, I can't imagine he's going to step onto a field again before the deal is done.
Yeah, and you have to feel for Joe Burrow here. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries, it seems, over the past few seasons. Every time this year, we're talking about something different.
Yeah.
And I really was hoping for this year to be the year where we're getting a clean, healthy Joe, but we're obviously not.
He said exactly that, like the day before he got hurt. It's awful because he's a great player and he's one of the great young faces of the league. Hopefully he'll be back soon.
And look, I was talking to the Bengals the day he got hurt, and the sense of relief they had that it was just the calf, thinking that maybe it was we didn't know what it was at that point. So even though it feels like doom and gloom, I think they feel like they dodged a bullet.
I've been critical of the Packers over the years for not going all in and trying to win championships while they have these great quarterbacks. That is what it is. The one thing you cannot question is how well they draft. That is they draft extraordinarily well. If they believed in this kid enough to trade up and take him in the first round, knowing the reaction that Aaron was going to have, I have faith that this kid is going to be good. My prediction is this kid is going to be really good, and he's going to hit the ground running.
Wow,
It wouldn't surprise me again because we talked about earlier about so much of these young quarterbacks depends on the type of culture organization they go into.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The Packers. There's not many organizations that have the type of the type of culture that the Green Bay Packers have, especially at developing quarterbacks. So, listen, it would not shock me at all if Jordan Love comes out and has a very good year, considering all the young talent that the Green Bay Packers have surrounded him with.
Yeah, they got this healthy offensive line, right? So he's got the protection. The receivers are young. It's the youngest wide receiver core in the NFL, right? They've got a strong run game. They've got the most inexperienced quarterback room, right? So it's like good, bad, a great defense, good, right? A coach who I think we're going to really learn a lot about Matt LaFleur this year with Jordan Love, right? So Aaron Rodgers is there. He can make up for some blemishes if there were some. I'm really excited to see what this offense will look like with Matt LaFleur having full control with no say from an Aaron Rodgers. Let's see if this will look good.
Right, but it's his job also to protect Jordan Love too, right? Run the football a lot more, lean on that offensive line, lean on those two studs that you have at the running back position, and not put your young quarterback in situations that can, dismantle his confidence.
The hardest thing for Love, it seems to me, is the spot he's stepping into. It's not just Rodgers that he's succeeding, but it's also Favre. I mean, they've got a lineage now of basically 3 consecutive decades of first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback play. So if that's the standard, well, it's completely unfair to put that on any young player. I'm not telling you he's going to be that good. Almost no one ever has been. But my prediction is that he's going to be a good player, and I think we'll know it when we see it.
Just based on the fact that you believe that the Packers historically have
what
drafted
they're
so
doing.
well at the quarterback
And
position.
I'm also old enough, I'm by far the oldest person at this table, I'm old enough to remember when quarterbacks used to serve an apprenticeship, when they didn't come into the NFL and play immediately. Sometimes I think sitting for a few years behind a guy like Aaron Rodgers and learning, he will be more ready to go than a rookie will.
Or they could do it backwards like Zach Wilson. Go out there, stink, go back and be a backup, and maybe be great.
You're making my point for me. I'm giving you my top 5 candidates to have huge bounce-back years in the NFL. Maybe comeback player of the year, although one would imagine Damar Hamlin might have that one sewn up either way. That said, let me give you my top 5 candidates. At number 5, I'll give you Calvin Ridley. Now, the reason he was gone, which was gambling, is the reason he'll never win this award. But I don't know that everybody remembers just how special this guy is. And you plug him into this offense with that young quarterback, Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, don't be surprised if Calvin Ridley is among the league leaders in everything at the receiver position this year. So he's number 5. Number 4, Mac Jones. I'm a believer in Mac Jones. What they did to him last year was unfair. The way they coached this kid was unfair. And do I think he's going to be the greatest quarterback ever? No. But he should not look as bad as he did a season ago. He should at minimum never be confused. And with Bill O'Brien, he won't be. O'Brien is as important as any coach in the league this year. Mac Jones is going to have a huge bounce back. Number 3, coming back from injury. T.J. Watt did not have a T.J. Wattian kind of year last year because he got hurt immediately and was never right again. To some degree, I think because the world moves so fast, we forget. This guy had 22.5 sacks a couple of years ago and was the defensive player of the year. The 2 best pass rushers in the league are T.J. Watt and Nick Bosa. He will have a bounce-back season. At number 2, I'm putting Russell Wilson because he needs to. I don't know how confident I am that it will happen with Sean Payton, but clearly he will be one of the most watched players in the National Football League this year. The marriage of Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, everything in the world rides on it, I think, including Russell's legacy. So that, I think, a player to watch. But at number 1, maybe I'm doing this with my heart.
Wow.
I want to see Odell have a huge year. I want the combination of Lamar Jackson and OBJ, maybe the most exciting players to watch at their respective positions in the whole league. Lamar at quarterback and OBJ at receiver. I want to see this work. Every report we're getting out of Baltimore talks about how explosive it's going to be, how good it looks, Todd Monken, everything else. I hope it works. So these are my 5 candidates for bounce-back seasons: Calvin Ridley, Mac Jones, T.J. Watt, Russell Wilson, Odell Beckham Jr. Diana, what do you think?
I love your list. I'd like to add to it, though. I don't know if I'm allowed to do a 6th.
Yeah.
Or perhaps I may take one out. Look, I think people get a little weird talking about the Browns right now because of Deshaun Watson, but he's a player I believe is going to bounce back. I think we're going to see the version of Deshaun Watson that we saw in Houston. And this, because he's going to have the comfort in the offense with Kevin Stefanski. Okay, we had a small sample size last year of what he was doing, right? And he looked terrible. He was not good. Okay, and you have to imagine there was a lot going on for him as well, getting back into the league. But I think this is the season where we're not talking about Deshaun Watson that much because we're not that comfortable. But I bet you by week 4, week 5, we are going to be discussing the Cleveland Browns as being contenders.
I actually agree with that. And for all the obvious reasons, it's a weird one to talk about. What he's coming back from is so different from what practically anyone else ever has come back from. That said, when last seen, he was one of the 2 or 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL. That's not an exaggeration. So yes, I would agree. If he does return to 80% of what he was, he will have a huge year.
Do you remember what he was doing with that team? Yeah. They had no one, and they were still in every game, it seemed like, because of his individual talent.
I think in the league at that point, we were saying it's Mahomes, and then it's Deshaun. Like, he was that level of good. How about the list? D. Wood.
I like your list. I like it a lot.
Talk to me about OBJ.
I agree with everything you said about OBJ. I want to see Odell Beckham Jr. healthy. When he's healthy and he's right, he just brings an energy to the game, a love for the game I want him to do well, because we know he's been through a lot of injuries lately. To see him do well, boy, if he's right in Baltimore, boy, that's going to be that's going to be something else.
Harry,
there.
as a receiver, talk to me about what we should expect from OBJ. Bear in mind, he's coming off a second ACL, always complicated, but he's had a full year and a half in real time, right, to rehab it. So hopefully he's full strength. What should we be expecting from Odell in this offense?
You talk about a guy that can win one-on-one. Win his one-on-one matchups, he's going to run those crisp routes. He's not a body catcher. He's all hands, right? You get down to the red zone, you can throw him fades, you can throw him slants, you can count on him. He would have got MVP of that Super Bowl if he did not get hurt. But let me tell you a little something about this list, Greeny.
What?
Because if you have Odell Beckham Jr. on this list, well, there's a guy that throws him the football named Lamar Jackson.
Lamar, yeah.
That probably will have to go on this list over Odell, because if Odell has a good year, that means Lamar Jackson is having a great year.
Yeah, look, that's fair. It depends on how you're looking at bounce back, all right? Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.